Could have been worse, I admitted. We headed to Bloomingdale's. That's a department store where we get our shoes. There are 5 salesmen in the children's shoe department. 2 of them my mother doesn't like. She thinks they don't measure my feet carefully. That all they care about is selling shoes, even if they don't have the right sizes in stock. The other ones my mother thinks are okay. There's one she likes a lot. His name is Mr. Berman. I like him too, because he's funny. He usually makes believe that the right shoe goes on the left foot or that Fudge's shoes are really for me. Anyways, when Mr. Berman waits on us, buying shoes is almost fun. They don't have shoes people like they used to in a lot of places. Today, Mr. Berman spotted us right away. He always remembers our names. Well, if it isn't the Hatcher boys, he says. In the flesh, I told him. Fudge opened his mouth for Mr. Berman. See, all gone. His teeth, my mother explained to Mr. Berman. He knocked out his top 2 front teeth. Well, congratulations, Mr. Berman said. That calls for a celebration. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out 2 lollipops. He handed one to me and one to Fudge. Ooh, Fudge said, lolly. Mine was root beer flavored. I hate root beer, but I thanked Mr. Berman anyway. I'll save it for after lunch, I told him, handing it to my mother. She put it into her purse. Fudge got a lemon lolly. He ripped off the paper and started sucking it right away. Now then, what'll it be, boys? Mr. Berman asked. My mother answered. Brown and white saddles for Fudge and loafers for Peter. Okay, Peter, let's see how those feet have grown. I slipped out of my old shoes and stood up. I stuck my left foot into Mr. Berman's foot measure. Then he turned it around, and I put my right foot in. That's another reason why I think Mr. Berman is good at selling shoes. He measures both feet. Some other salesmen only measure one. My mother says feet can be different sizes, even on the same person. And it's important to make sure the size fits the biggest foot. What color loafers, Peter? Mr. Berman asked. Brown, I said, same as the old ones. When Mr. Berman went into the back to look for shoes for me, my mother noticed a hole in the toe of my sock. Oh, Peter, why didn't you tell me you had a hole in your sock? I didn't know I had one, I said. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. It's my sock, Mom. Why would you be embarrassed? I asked. Well, it looks terrible. I mean, to come shopping for shoes with a hole in your sock, that's just awful. Can't you hide it a little? Where should I hide it? Try to get the hole between your toes so it doesn't show, my mother said. I think she feels embarrassed that, people are going to think that she's not taking care of her kids or something. I wiggled my sock around, trying to rearrange my hole. My mother sure worries about silly things. I bet a lot of kids think about that. But that's not true. Mother's worry comes from love. Mr. Berman came out with 2 pairs of loafers. He likes to try different sizes to make sure I'm getting the right one. One pair was much too big. The other pair fit just fine. Wear a wrap, Mr. Berman. Wear a wrap, Mr. Berman asked my mother. Wrap, please, my mother said. She said, we'll wear the old ones home. I almost always wear the new ones out, but that's me. I've never been allowed to wear new shoes home from the store. Don't ask me why, but my mother always has the new pair wrapped up, and I can't wear them until the next day. When I was finished, Mr. Berman untied Fudge's shoes and measured his feet. Brown and white saddle shoes, my mother reminded him. Mr. Berman went into the back and returned with 2 shoeboxes. When she opened the first box and Fudge saw the saddle shoes, he said, no. Oh, he's going to want the same shoes as Peter. No what? My mother asked him. No shoes, Fudge said. He started kicking his feet. Don't be silly, Fudgy. You need new shoes, my mother reminded him. No, 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 he hollered. Everyone in the shoe department looked over at us. Here's the perfect size, Mr. Berman told Fudge, holding up one shoe. Wait till you see how nice these new shoes will feel. Fudge kicked some more. It was impossible for Mr. Berman to get the shoes on his feet. He screamed, no shoes! No, no, no! My mother grabbed hold of him, but he was wiggling all around. He managed to give Mr. Berman a kick in the face. Lucky for him, Fudge only had on socks. Now, Fudge, my mother said, you must get new shoes. Your old ones are too small. So what kind do you want? I don't know why my mother bothered to talk to him like he was a regular person, because when Fudge gets himself into a temper tantrum, he doesn't listen to anything. By that time, he had thrown himself onto the floor where he beat his fists against the rug. What kind do you want, Fudge? Because we're not leaving here until you have new shoes, my mother said, like she meant it. I figured we'd be here for the rest of the day, or maybe for the week. I could How could my mother have been embarrassed over a little hole in my sock and then act like nothing much was happening when her other son was on the floor, yelling and screaming and carrying on? Oh, prediction, I bet she's going to make Peter pretend to buy those shoes that Fudge is getting. He's going to switch it. I'm going to count to 3, my mother told Fudge. And then I want you to tell me which shoes you want. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Fudge sat up. Like Peter's, he said. Oh, my first prediction was right, not my last one. I smiled. I guess the kid really looks up to me. He even wants to wear the same kind of shoes. But everyone knows you can't buy loafers for such a little guy. They don't come in your size, Mr. Berman told Fudge. Yes, 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 like Peter's, Fudge hollered. Mr. Berman held up his hands and looked at my mother as if to say, I give up. But my mother said, I have an idea. She motioned for me and Mr. Berman to come closer. I had the feeling I wasn't going to like her idea. I think my first prediction was wrong. But I listened anyway. I think we'll have to play a little joke on Fudge. What do you mean? I asked. Well, suppose Mr. Berman brings out a pair of saddle shoes in your size. Oh, no, I said. You're not going to get me to wear saddle shoes. Never. Let me finish, my mother said. Mr. Berman can bring them out, and you can try them on, and then Fudge will think that's what you're getting. But when we leave, we'll take the loafers. That's mean, I said. You're taking advantage of him. Since when do you worry about that? My mother asked. Since now, I told her. Look, Peter, my mother said, checking her watch. It's 12 o'clock. I'm starved. Me too. Well then, if you ever want to get some lunch, let's try my idea. Okay. I sat back in my chair while Mr. Berman hurried to the stockroom again. Fudge looked at me from his position on the floor. Like Peter's, he said. Yeah, sure, Fudge, I told him. We're going to stop there.